Hello, this is Mustafa Badruddin with the PILR podcast. Today I'm with Professor Thomas McDonnell, who is Professor of International Law here at Pace and author of the book, The United States, International Law, and the Struggle Against Terrorism. And he's here to talk to us a little bit about that. Professor McDonnell, can you talk to us a little bit about the theme of your book?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Badruddin. The theme of my book is really twofold. The first is that most Muslim countries were colonized by the Europeans or by the Russians, and to a great extent the response of violence by a fragment of the Muslim population is due to that. And secondly, the United States, in order to be successful in the struggle against terrorism, needs the cooperation not only of Muslim countries, but of individuals in the police and armed forces of Muslim countries, and most importantly, of the people in Muslim communities and countries throughout the world. So to the extent that the United States violates international law, it tends, in my view, to make it much more difficult to obtain the cooperation of those individuals and countries, cooperation which is essential if we are to really get control of the threat that terrorism poses.
Excellent. And in terms of the Obama administration now, they've been in power for 2 years. Can you share with us how they're different from the Bush-Cheney administration?
Yes, I think many of us in the international area were quite concerned, have been quite concerned about the Bush-Cheney administration's counterterrorism policies. The detainee abuse scandal in particular, I think, raised a lot of concerns. And many of us hoped that the Obama administration would really turn a page on this and put that behind us. And I think we have to say that the Obama administration's reaction is mixed. On the one hand, the Obama administration has to be commended for ending torture and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. I think that unquestionably has occurred. At least I've not seen any reports suggesting that the mistreatment that was carried out in the various detention centers has continued. Secondly, I think the Obama administration has to be commended for moving a lot of the individuals who were held in detention centers into the criminal justice system, into Article III courts in the United States. So I think that is all to be, again, applauded. Areas where I think the Obama administration has failed to meet the promise comes in the manner in which counterterrorism operations are being carried out in Afghanistan and Pakistan and other areas of the world. And I'm referring particularly to the use of weaponized drones and special forces. As you may know, Mr. Badruddin, the CIA is operating a so-called secret program of drone attacks in Pakistan. And in this year alone, according to the BBC, they've carried out some 70 such attacks, killing 200 people. The difficulty, there are a couple of issues here. The first issue is entrusting the CIA to handle this. The CIA is essentially an espionage agency. It operates covertly, even though the entire world is aware of its operations in Pakistan and perhaps other areas of the world. And the real difficulty is that there's a lack of transparency as to exactly what the CIA is doing in these areas. Okay? As Philip Alston, who is the rapporteur to the UN's Human Rights Council, has noted, we just really don't know exactly whom the people are that the CIA is targeting, how many civilian casualties actually are resulting from their targets, okay? And whether or not military necessity was really satisfied in carrying out these attacks. So to me, using the CIA is really a big mistake. And certainly given their poor record on intelligence in the run-up to the war in Iraq, and also their integral role in setting up black sites and in handling torture and waterboarding and the like, they are not the agency to be entrusted with this type of task. The second aspect of this is a broader question, and that is whether or not using weaponized drones, in fact, is going to ultimately help us eliminate the threat that terrorists pose to us. The difficulty is that some studies suggest that targeting the leadership of religiously motivated terrorist organizations is counterproductive. That is to say that instead of actually kind of wiping out or eliminating the threat, the manner in which the attacks were carried out actually strengthens the terrorist organization. So given the religious motivation of both the Taliban and of the Al-Qaeda and quote-unquote associated groups, it's really questionable whether or not this type of attack is going to work. The next point is really related, and that is whether the moral authority of the United States is undermined by these types of attacks. Here we have the most advanced technological country in the world using these weaponized drones where an individual in Langley, Virginia essentially is pressing a button, causing this attack thousands of miles away. And whether or not that really advances our moral standing in the Muslim communities of the world, I think is at best questionable.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Professor McDonnell, and we sure hope to have you back to discuss future topics.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Madrell.
Thank you.
Bye now.